In 1973, a 10-year-old boy was sent to a school in rural Kentucky that his own uncle believed was a normal boarding school. It was not. It was a reform school built for teenagers with serious discipline problems. And this small immigrant kid was thrown into a world of bullies who mocked his broken English while he was forced to clean toilets just to belong. Nobody in that room could have imagined that this same boy would grow up to build the company that quietly powers almost every major breakthrough in artificial intelligence today, from the tools inside Google and Microsoft to the systems behind OpenAI. His name is Jensen Huang, and the company he built is called NVIDIA. But here is the part most people never hear about. There was a moment in NVIDIA's early history when the company was just 30 days away from running out of money completely. Jensen's story begins in Taipei, where his father worked as an engineer at an oil refinery. The family was solidly middle class, but they placed enormous value on education, believing it was the only real path upward. When his father found a job in Thailand, the whole family relocated to Bangkok, chasing a better future. But Thailand's political situation grew unstable, and in a decision driven purely by fear for their safety, Jensen and his older brother were sent alone to the United States as children, with the hope that distance would keep them safe. What followed was a mix-up that changed the course of his childhood. His uncle enrolled him in what he thought was an ordinary school, only for the family to later discover it was actually a reform institution for troubled teens. His brother was assigned to work on a tobacco farm, while Jensen scrubbed bathroom floors and endured teasing from older students who saw him as an outsider. This went on for nearly 2 years before his family relocated again, this time to Oregon, where his life finally began to stabilize. It was in Oregon that Jensen completed high school and discovered a growing fascination with technology, a spark that would eventually shape his entire future. He went on to study electrical engineering at Oregon State University, and it was there that he met Lori Mills, the woman who would later become his wife. But college was far from easy on his wallet, so he spent long hours working at a Denny's restaurant, washing dishes and clearing tables just to afford his tuition. What most people fail to realize is that the same hands that once scrubbed dirty plates would later help design chips that reshaped entire industries. After graduating, Jensen worked at AMD and then moved to Lease Logic, where he focused on graphics-related chip design. It was there that he crossed paths with two engineers, Chris Malachowski and Curtis Breen, and together the three of them shared one bold vision: building machines powerful enough to render graphics the world had never seen before. On April 5, 1993, NVIDIA was born from that shared obsession. In 1995, NVIDIA released its very first graphics chip, the NV1, and on paper it looked incredibly promising. But the moment it hit the market, it collapsed almost instantly. The problem was structural. NVIDIA had built its architecture around curved surface rendering, while the rest of the industry, including Microsoft's DirectX platform, had already standardized around triangle-based rendering. Game developers abandoned NVIDIA almost overnight, and out of 250,000 chips produced, nearly 29,000 were returned and sold. The company was pushed to the edge of bankruptcy, and at its lowest point, NVIDIA had barely 30 days of operating funds left before it would have shut down entirely. But this is where things took an unexpected turn. Sega, the gaming company behind the Dreamcast console, needed an advanced 3D graphics processor and handed the contract to NVIDIA. The console project was eventually cancelled, but Sega still paid NVIDIA for the work already completed, and that single payment gave the struggling company just enough oxygen to survive a few more critical months. In 1997, NVIDIA launched the Riva 128, a graphics chip so powerful for its time that it sold over 1 million units in just 4 months, pulling the company back from the brink completely. But the true revolution was still ahead. In 1999, NVIDIA introduced the GeForce 256, widely recognized as the very first true Jew in history, a graphics processing unit that completely transformed the gaming world. Yet Jensen's ambition was never limited to gaming alone. In 2006, NVIDIA launched CUDA, a technology that allowed GUPS to be used not just for rendering graphics, but for massive general-purpose computing tasks. This single decision quietly laid the foundation for the entire artificial intelligence boom that was still years away from beginning. In 2012, researchers at the University of Toronto used NVIDIA's GUPS to train a model called AlexNet, and that moment proved to the world that GUPS were not just built for games, they were built for intelligence itself. Suddenly, companies like OpenAI, Google, and Microsoft all needed massive computing power, and NVIDIA's chips were the engine driving nearly all of it. By 2023 and 2024, demand for NVIDIA exploded, pushing the company's valuation past $3 trillion. But the surprising part is that success is never a straight line. Wendy speaks of one model launched, claiming it had been trained at a fraction of the usual cost. NVIDIA's stock crashed nearly 17% in a single day, wiping out more than $500 billion in value, one of the largest single-day losses in the history of the American stock market. Panic spread through the market almost instantly. But within weeks, the world realized something crucial. The demand for artificial intelligence was not slowing down, and companies still needed enormous computing power to train their models. NVIDIA's demand surged right back, and within a few short months, the company had recovered every single dollar it had lost. Today, in 2026, NVIDIA's valuation stands at over $4 trillion, and this story proves one simple truth. The struggles we face today can quietly become the foundation of the success we build tomorrow.